Hi, CUSOTA team. I want to thank you for inviting me to virtually talk about Level 2 fieldwork and DEC. I have a lot to say on the topic and could ramble for a long time. So if you guys have any questions afterwards, Kira has my contact information, so feel free to call, email, text, whatever it may be. I am also in Denver, so if you want to meet for coffee or something, I love talking and rambling. So I'm going to start with giving you hopefully some tips. I'm going to go over my Level 2 fieldworks a little bit and give you some tips on what I've learned throughout the process. So my first Level 2A was inpatient acute at a Level 1 trauma hospital, and I was on the neuro floor in Phoenix, Arizona at Banner. I sometimes swung over to the ICU as well. And in this role, I typically saw people that were transferred from ICU over to inpatient acute. So they were only a day or a couple days post-injury. This often was strokes, brain injuries, different, everything in the neurological world that you could think of, I ran into. But now I am on my 2B. I just started this week, and I'm at Craig Hospital. I'm in the bridge between inpatient and outpatient on the spinal cord injury team. So if any of you are interested in neuro, I would love to talk about it. And also, again, feel free to call me or email me with questions on that. But I was going to talk to you guys a little bit about the Level 2 fieldwork process and hopefully give you a little bit of more insight into what it's like. So for your Level 2 fieldwork, we'll backtrack. So for most Level 1 fieldworks, you guys probably did a lot of observation. Depending on your CI, you may have had a little bit more hands-on, but I think for the most part, it was more observation-based. And you kind of get a feel of OT's role and the different populations you can be working with. For Level 2 fieldwork, the idea is to have you start more observation and then progress to gaining a caseload. And I want you to know that every fieldwork for Level 2 looks very different from person to person, as did the Level 1 fieldworks. So my experience might not be what everyone would have, but I'll try and talk to you a little bit about other people in my cohort and their experience. So for me, my CI has been CI for like 10 years or something, so she was pretty well versed and she kind of knew how she wanted to run things. And so I started with probably a week of observation, and she slowly winged me into having my own caseload. And so by the end, I essentially had all of her roles and responsibilities. So I had a full caseload. I was going to rounds, communicating with other health professionals, creating my interventions, doing evaluations, kind of everything that it would entail. And between then, so I think on my very first day, she had me do an intervention. It scared the crap out of me. And I looked at her and stared at her, and I wasn't ready to do it. But she kind of just told me, this is what it is. Put your feet in, go. And I'm really thankful for that in retrospect, because it made me go outside of my comfort zone. I can be very timid. I know you wouldn't think it because I like to talk a lot, but in situations where I don't feel confident with my skills, I can be timid. So I think it was really beneficial for me to be pushed that way. And I would say probably maybe a month in, I had a full caseload. In the acute setting, that was typically like 10 patients a day. Now, that's very different from Craig right now. We only see 1 to 3, maybe 4 patients a day. So it's super different depending on the setting that you're in. Also, the timeline for that is really different. There were some students that had more, a fuller caseload early on because their supervisors felt they were ready. And then some people progressed to not necessarily a full caseload, maybe just having like 2 patients that they saw in full. So with that idea, I think that my biggest tips for you would be to communicate with your CI on your level of comfort and where you stand and to ask for feedback. In my situation, by the end, I realized that I hadn't developed as many skills that I wanted to, I guess. I got pretty stuck in doing as I knew, especially because I had a full caseload for like 2 months, and I kind of felt in my groove and felt like I knew things, so I just continued to do that. In retrospect, I wish I would have asked for a little bit more feedback and a little bit more training, so that I could have developed my skills even more so and been a better clinician. That being said, I had students in my cohort where they were not given full rein at all, and their therapists kept, or their CIs kept a very close watch on them. Now, both sides to it have good and bad. Obviously, you don't want someone breathing down your neck, but you do really develop your skills when they're watching you super closely, not to scare you. But I think that communicating with your supervisor is the biggest piece of or tip that I could give you. One of my classmates, her CI was breathing down her neck a lot and didn't allow her much opportunity to develop her skills because she was essentially telling her what to do throughout each session. So I think that if you communicate that, like in her situation, she communicated that for her to learn and develop skills, she needed a little more freedom. So yes, try and communicate as much as you can. And I think developing, having a conversation with your CI in the beginning on your learning style and how they teach, it can really make or break it. And in addition to talking about that, there are students that had a difficult time. I think it was oftentimes related to the relationship with their CI. So I advise you guys, or advise whatever, hope that you can be as open to your CIA. Some people just aren't easy to work with, which is a good training in and of itself to know that you're not going to get along with everyone. So really try and make the best. Some people, didn't get along with their supervisors, but you're stuck with them. And I think that if you take it from the standpoint that you're going to learn, you'll be able to interact with the population you're serving and just kind of look at the positive side of things. It can really help you get through it. Also, venting and talking to classmates that know what you're going through is super nice. I called people a lot and told them about my days a lot. But anywho, today actually someone gave me a piece of advice which I really appreciated. Oftentimes we go into fieldwork and we want to show them what we have, and we want to show our CIs that we know some stuff and we can do this, but you're also there to learn. So I think that it's really important to find a balance between showing what you got and then being able and open to learning. I think that it'll make for a better fieldwork all in all for you guys. And then just a little bit on the timeline for my 2B. So Craig has a lot of students that come through. So they have the way that they filter students through their level 2s is very structured. And so this first week I am observation, and essentially I'll be winging into having a full caseload, but by the end, a full caseload for me will only be 4 patients. So, and then they have a lot of trainings that Craig does. They have crazy good mentorship. As you guys know, you've had all the faculty from there. So I have a lot of trainings that I get, which is nice because in my level 2A, I think that I didn't get enough training on skills and techniques and kind of my therapeutic approach as far as like more manual, like transfers and such like that. But Craig does a really nice job on providing training for that. So everyone's experience will be very different. Be very open, and I think that's all I have about. Oh, I was going to talk a little bit about housing because pretty much everyone travels for it. So for housing, the alumni network, you can fill out an application on Creighton's website. And I've used it twice, and some people used it on their level 2 fieldworks, and it's super nice. If you don't always get someone that responds, but oftentimes they'll offer you a super discounted rate for renting, sometimes food, sometimes it's even free. I know one gal went out to like one of the Carolinas, and she lived with a family for free the entire level 2. So I think if you're worried about the money aspect of it, I think it'd be really beneficial just to fill out the application. You don't have to take it if they offer it to you, but just to know it's out there. And then if you're more worried or interested in being like close to your site, or maybe having a roommate or not, I think that Airbnb is a really nice choice. I did that in Phoenix for my level 2. I wanted to have a roommate so that I knew someone. So I did Airbnb, and it can be, obviously you can make it as cheap or not cheap as you want it. I didn't care what my place looked like, so I think I spent like $500 a month for rent. If you're more fancy, obviously it'll cost a little bit more. Hotels do the long-term stay sometimes, and then I would really advise you to reach out to your classmates, even faculty, friends, family, and ask if anyone would be willing to house a student in the area. I know that in some of my classmates went to California, and they had different classmates' family that they stayed with. So you can get creative depending on what your priorities are. Also, that's another thing. I think that it's important to look at what your priorities are. For me, I wanted something cheap. I didn't really care where it was because I brought my car out with me, and I wanted a roommate. Also, on that note, if you are within not too far of a distance, I think that it's not a bad idea to bring a vehicle out with you. It is 3 months, and I used mine not only to get to the hospital, but I also used it over the weekend so that I could explore a little bit. So I think that I was didn't know if it would be enough time for me to actually bring my car out, and I was like, I should just bus. But I did like having it out there, and most people that brought their cars with them felt that way. Public transit is public transit. It's nice because it's cheap, but it also takes a lot of time out of your day. Also, that's another thing that I forgot to talk about. For your level 2s, you have on Exat, it tells you what setting you're in. I just want you guys to be aware that's not always the setting you're in. It won't be drastically different, but I definitely had classmates that thought they were going, like maybe it said inpatient, and then they ended up on the ICU. So just know that it sometimes isn't totally correct on Exat, but being flexible and open is what OTs do, or what we will do. Okay, I think that's all I had for level 2. So I wanted to talk a little bit about DEC. I'm honestly not the best person to talk about this because I still don't know what I'm doing, but I can tell you a little bit about the process that I went through. And this would also be another place that it'd be super beneficial to reach out to different OT3s just to get their perspective on it if you need help or want help. So my first tip to you is when you're looking at what you want to do, condense it. You honestly don't have that much time, and it is not always the easiest to find a site that aligns with what you want to do. So I think that kind of not biting off as much as you may want to, because it is so open to us that, at least for me, I was like, I want to do all these things. And then I realized that I can't do all those things. So I think condensing it is super helpful. And then I would also highly, highly recommend you reach out to our faculty, especially the ones that teach labs. They have a list of so many people that would be willing to take DEX, and even if they don't know someone that is willing to take a DEX student, a lot of them are willing to take your idea or concept or whatever it may be and try and find someone that would be suitable to pair with you, or a site that would be suitable. And then as far as topics go, I'm going to send Kira a list of what some students are doing. It is so open that it's kind of hard to get an idea of what a topic can look like. But I think a lot of students in my cohort are essentially just practicing clinical skills. So one gal really likes the NICU, so she sought out different NICU opportunities. How she found her site, we had someone do a guest lecture, and she was from the NICU, and she was like, I'll take a DEC student. So she interviewed and got that. For some people that also wanted to do NICU that didn't get that opportunity, if we aren't affiliated with the site, then they just cold called. I had a super specific topic. I wanted to practice my skills with a neurological pediatric population. So I sought out a children's hospital, but I still don't have that confirmed. So don't know what's going on with that. But I'm also splitting it partly between international work. And if you're interested in doing something international, I can talk to you about how I found a site and how that process went. And for other students, let me backtrack. I think it's also important to look at not only a topic, but the location. If you want to stay in Colorado, it might change how you go about things. You might go about it more from like, this is the site you want to go, and then you find out what could work with that site, versus going from, this is the topic I want to do, and then finding a site that pairs with it. Creighton will tell you differently. They want you to come up with an idea and then go from there. I think that's really hard. I had like all these ideas, and then finding the site has been the most difficult part for me personally, which isn't the case with everyone in my class, just for me. Well, not just for me, but for me specifically. So I think sometimes if you are super passionate about a population, I think finding a site is sometimes easier, and then being like, what could I do within that site? For instance, a girl that's going to the NICU, she got the site, and then she was like, okay, cool, I think I'll work on some kangaroo care and some grant writing, and kind of built a topic into it. So yes, that is all I have to say about DEC. I don't know if that helps or not. Biggest tip is talking to the faculty, though. The lab instructors that were from Anschutz, I told them an idea that I had, and they gave me a huge list of people that I could contact. But I was pretty stuck on Children's Hospital, and I've been communicating with them for 3 months and nothing's happening. So that's where that is. But they did give me, the faculty from labs did give me a lot of people that could be potential pairings for me. And also, if you do reach out to faculty, I think come with a little bit of an idea, at least the population you want to work with, just so they know where you stand. I don't even know if I said this aloud. I'm going to send Kira a list of, I think I said it, but whatever, a list of some of the DECs that people in my cohort are doing, just so you guys have a little bit better idea on that. So I think that is all I have for you guys. Like I said, I love talking, obviously. I've been rambling, so just give me a call, email, whatever it may be, if you have any questions. That's all I have for you. Good luck in the semester, and let me know how all is going, all right? Take care.